The big story of the week and the big debate of the week is about 1 billion rands and Tottenham Hotspur. Basically, the South African government, through its marketing arm, SA Tourism, is considering spending close to 1 billion rand or 42.5 million pounds to sponsor an English Premier League team, Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Now, South African tourism is a DMO, which is a destination management organization, and destination management organizations are used to promote locations such as travel destinations. Now, the duration of this deal is from February 2023 to June 2026, with the option to extend for another year. SA tourism expenditure on this proposal would amount to more than a third of its annual marketing budget, and that's going to matter later. Now, the package that they will receive is going to be the following: stadium branding, match day advertising, and a 5 to 14 day training camp in South Africa with a full Spurs first team. And then it's also going to come with access for stadium VIP suites and free tickets for, I assume, the political leaders of South Africa, as well as brand South Africa, or rather SA Tourism. Now, the case studies which were used by SA Tourism to support this decision were the following: Abu Dhabi's sponsorship of Manchester City, which is an airline promotion actually; Malta's sponsorship of Manchester United. There are some companies which are based in Malta because it's a tax haven, which sponsor Manchester United. And then you obviously know about the Visit Rwanda sleeve, which is on the Arsenal jerseys. So this is the case study that was used to support this. Now, SA Tourism CEO Themba Khumalo actually spoke on this. There was a press conference because this has been topical all over the place. And this is what he had to say during the press conference. I'm going to give my thoughts after, but let's listen to what he had to say. He was very, very twangy, very eloquent, but let's listen and dissect carefully what he had to say.
So, let me look straight into camera and say this to all South Africans. The money that's invested in tourism is not the same money that's required for energy. It's not the same amount of money that is required for potholes. There are other departments that are dedicated and are given that mandate by legislation. Our legislated mandate is not about that. Our legislated mandate is about persuading international people to travel into the country and spend money in our economy. And that is what we will stick to, whether it is through this initiative or any other initiative. But that is what we are mandated to do. That is what we're paid to do. And that is what we will continue to do until we're told otherwise. So I just wanted to place that particular context for what we're going to discuss, which is the topical issue on the table. Now, how do you find these people around the world? What you certainly don't do is you don't do random. You don't just, place an ad on TV and hope somebody's going to see it and that they'll be persuaded to come to the country. That's not what we do. There are aggregators of databases around the world. So you've got to find platforms that aggregate convertible databases in order for you to market directly, so that you know that the people that you're targeting, one, are aware of your destination, two, have got the money to travel long haul, and three, have got the willingness to do a long haul trip. So you've got to be able to access those databases. Now, who are the aggregators of those databases? One, global media, whether CNN, BBC, etc., all of the big global media houses are able to aggregate audiences, just like here in South Africa, whether it is Newsroom Africa, ETV, SABC, you are aggregators of audiences, and the people that place adverts on your channels are not doing it for your entity.
Now, here are my thoughts. Number one, using 1/3 of the marketing budget on one campaign, actually over 1/3 of a marketing budget on one campaign, is an overcommitment. The Premier League does have a large viewer base, but not all of those viewers are going to be travelers. Not all of those viewers watch Tottenham matches. So the overall viewership of the Premier League doesn't translate to the viewership of those particular teams and matches. And the return on the investment, which is a critical consideration when you're thinking about spending any amount of money on an investment, is not guaranteed in this case, regardless of the audience size. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that cheaper alternatives exist, and these cheaper alternatives actually directly target a traveler audience, a tourist audience. For example, YouTube is a great platform for this, and YouTube travel bloggers already exist and create content directed at travelers, content that is consumed by travelers. They have credibility, they have relationships, and you can actually utilize them for much cheaper than 1 billion rand. So here are some examples of some prominent travel blogging accounts. Why does YouTube actually matter? YouTube has got 2.6 billion users. 52% of internet users worldwide access YouTube at least once a month. And users on YouTube consume 1 billion hours of video on YouTube every day. Every day. So YouTube actually makes more sense and you can be more targeted in your advertising. Netflix is offering an ad tier, and that can also be used to attract international travelers. Lastly, TikTok is being used by the young demographic, university students, young professionals, teenagers. It's a cheaper alternative as well than putting a sleeve on a Tottenham jersey, which may not even bring you that much attention. Thirdly, the aim and the delivery have a gap. The objective that was stated by the acting CEO is that they want to persuade people to visit South Africa. Now, if you want to persuade people, you need multimedia engagement, you need storytelling, you need experiences to be recounted to people. They need to know where to eat, they need to know what kind of things to enjoy. You cannot tell them those things on a t-shirt sleeve. You simply cannot do it. The best way to do that is to build this attraction through storytelling and influencers. This has been used by multiple organizations to this point. So I think that this is not a good use of the budget. And finally, even though everyone knows that, tourism gets its own budget, people can ask if use of any budget, one, is a national priority at the time, and two, if it's the best use of that particular money. So I think the CEO being very aggressive in his demeanor, speaking to the South African audience, I don't think that served his objective at all. Even if technically he may be correct on that it's their budget and that, they have a legal mandate to use that money and it won't go to potholes and it won't go to education, etc. I do think people who are taxpayers do have a justification to question how their money is being spent. It's your money. You can ask how it's being spent. So that's been the topic that's been all over the internet. What do you think? What are your views? Do you think that 1 billion rands being spent on Tottenham Hotspur Football Club is a good use of tourism revenue? Do you think that it will have the results that were advertised, or that it's a wasteful use of the money on an investment that is not secured or assured? Let's have a conversation.